All right, here we go with stencil time. We got sleeve. We'll be filling in some gaps. Today, we're gonna focus on Athena. So we got a technical pen out. We're gonna put this around 7 or 8%. And we'll just get right to it. Hope everybody's having a great week. Either doing a tattoo or getting tattooed. Today will be the first start of a new sleeve. The sleeve is not entirely empty. He's got an existing tattoo on the inner bicep. And we're going to be covering up a small one right around his wrist. So when we're working with cover-ups and images like this, I really just have to see how they sit in all the open spaces, which are going to be the primary locations, and then we'll figure out, depending on the spaces that are left, how we can shift the imagery to make the best use of the cover-up, not only with the size and the element, but how dark or how light we need to make the images that are nearby. As usual, if you guys have any questions, feel free to send them over. If there's anything that you want to see in regards to the stencil process, let me know. When it comes to actually designing, I actually have 3 design and composition seminars coming up. First one is going to be next week, June 1st. That's going to be 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. If you're available then and are interested in the whole process, you can sign up for that seminar. We also have 2 more coming up. It's going to be July 1st and another one August 25th. We'll be designing some sleeves for those. Different subject matters, and with each different theme and subject matter, there's a lot of things to learn and go over. Even with me, there's going to be some things that I'm going to learn with each design that I do, because we always want to be able to change things up and experiment with the design process. How long do you think your average stencil for this size piecemeal? Well, because everything's so big and oversized, like this is going to be pretty quick. That's going to be quick. We may slow down a little bit here, but maybe 20 minutes, half hour for something like this. Where do you get your references? All over the internet. So for the most part, we start out just through Google searches, and from there there's a lot of like tips and tricks on how you can search deeper and deeper through Google, where you don't even search by words anymore. You're just searching by images. Sometimes those searches lead to other websites, other photographers. Sometimes I pull my own references. So I was in Greece 2019. I was able to take a lot of references there. I was over at a conservatory this past week. Took a couple references there. So if I can use my own references, that'd be great. Otherwise, the internet has plenty. Yeah, 500px is good. Pretty much any stock photo site. So depending on what you're looking for, you can just start by searching for stock photos, stock images, and you can search specifically on just those pages. But I find for the most part, a lot of those images are on the Google search results. And as you find them there, then you can start to search for similar images, recommend ones that look very similar, or you can search based off of the story, or sometimes it's on blogs where people write about particular imagery or subject matters. But for the most part, I'm searching by images rather than by words. And during the seminar, we'll show so many different ways that we can use that. And I call it just going through like the Google image like wormhole. You can just go search image through image, and you'll just find stuff that you could never type in to search for. Chrome for fast image search. Doesn't work on Safari for some reason. I like using still Safari, and I'm mostly on the Google search engine on the website. So through there, they just have a little camera icon, and it'll allow you to upload images from your camera roll. So a lot of it is me just kind of saving and searching and just clicking through. What is the difficulty level of applying such a large stencil to the arm? Any tips and tricks? It really just depends on the format of the image, especially around the ball of the shoulder. You may end up having to eliminate some sections of that picture because things will overlap as it rounds out on the ball of the shoulder. Some areas start to expand a little bit more, perhaps on the bicep, right around the wrist gets really tricky. So it really just depends. When I do the mentorships and the seminar programs, I tend to show a little bit more of the actual stenciling process, how we apply it. So it's all case by case, depending on what sort of images that you're using. Will your seminar be in person only? They used to be in person only. Then when COVID hit, we ended up doing them online, which I think works well for a lot of people just because, you can learn remotely anywhere. Full view of the entire time, rather than if you're in person, well, you may have to share that space and you can't view up close like you would through the mentorship. So there's pros and cons to doing both. With some of the in-person ones, we may be able to go back and forth on a particular tattoo. So you may tattoo that client and then I may jump in for a little bit, show you some different techniques. So in-person is great for that. But we want to try to adapt the program to, as many different people and different places as possible. But as of right now, everything's all online. I'm looking to open a shop by the end of this year, and we'll have a dedicated mentorship space as well as a streaming facility. And that's going to allow us to really reach more people in person and online through that platform. Best advice for someone aspiring to be an artist? Well, if you're looking to just be an artist, the most important thing is just to create regularly and create with purpose. Figure out what your work looks like and what you would do differently to change your approach. And it's not even necessarily about finding or creating a style. It's really just finding or creating what you like. And eventually all those decisions that you make will end up becoming your style. But it's really just the amount of time that you're going to put to gain that experience through yourself. So if you're trying to be an artist, well, how many days a week are you actually an artist? Are you just an artist 2 or 3 days a week, or are you an artist 7 days a week? And if it's 7 days a week, well, how many hours a day are you an artist? So it's just a matter of your approach, your mindset, how you're applying your energy to become an artist. Let's say you have a portrait of Batman, one of Robin, and one of Harley Quinn in one design. How would you get the most value of it in terms of composition? It's tough to say. So several ways we can look at that is based off of the shape of the image. So let's say you're going to do a portrait. One's going to be full body. One's going to be a miniature portrait. The way that you place that is going to be very different as opposed to, let's say, if they're all full body or if they're all headshots, and where are you putting them also, because different parts of the body you'll have different restrictions. If it's on the arm or the leg, it's going to be a much taller and narrower space. If it's going to be on the back, then you have a much wider canvas that you can work with. If it's going to be horizontal or vertical, those are all different things that you're going to have to consider, and it depends on the shape of those images in relation to each other as well. So when I do the seminars, you're going to be able to see how we're going to design based off of all those different factors. It changes every single time, even if it is the same subject matter. So if I'm doing 4 different Batman sleeves, the composition is going to be very different because we want it to look different, but we're also going to change up what sort of images that we're going to use, the shape, the placement, the position of them. Maybe it's the texture or the value contrast. So that's why each of the seminars is going to be so different and so unique, because I'm also going to continue to experiment and show you guys what my process is like for trying out new things. The pain you get from tattooing is the same for any body part on your body? No, it's different for everybody. So number one, each area is going to be different for the individual. So every time you get a tattoo, typically it's going to be in a new area. So it's a new experience. It may be more painful for you on bone instead of fleshier areas. It may be easier for you. So everyone has different pain tolerances, different pain thresholds. And also age plays a factor. Mental toughness plays a factor. How well you can disassociate from that pain will actually help you sit much better. Which brush do you use? This is a technical pen. We're using this pretty much at default setting. It's going to be around 7 to 8%. What DPI do you use for your reference picture? For the references, typically I'm creating this on a 300 DPI letter size paper. So 8.5 by 11, 300 DPI. And the image, we want to, again, use Google to find the highest resolution version of this picture. And we'll be able to get the maximum resolution, the maximum amount of details. But even if it's blurry, we can still improvise, make certain things sharper, some things blurrier. And we'll just be able to use the values as a guideline. And that's really what art is, right? Being able to do your interpretation of it. So I'm moving quickly through the stencil. I'm copying as much of it as I can to give it certain features, but I'm not getting lost in all these little value changes right here. I can either add that or take it away, depending on how we're feeling. It also depends on what pictures are going next to it. This is super relaxing. I enjoy it. And I hope you are too. I feel like a lot of people dislike doing multiple faces in one design. I actually like that. Well, it just depends on how you're going to do it. What makes it interesting. So if they dislike it, why do they dislike it? What about it? Sometimes it is nice to break it up. And that's one version of contrast where you can just change it so that they're not all faces. Sometimes it's because all the faces are the same size, so you want to mix it up. Some bigger, some smaller, some full bodies, some with the bust, some oversized. So it really just depends on how you're going to put it together rather than what you're doing. You can really take any design and make it interesting. I think that's the difference between a good tattooer and a lazy tattooer. And that's one of the sayings that I've learned before, is that there's no such thing as a bad design, just a lazy tattooer. So if you find that it's boring or you dislike it, well, what can you do differently to make it interesting? How can you like that design instead of just turning it down or just doing a default tattoo? It requires a lot of mental energy. But if you're willing to spend that time and invest and be a little bit more creative in your process, well, then you're going to create more interesting results that are more signature to your aesthetics. You're really dropping gems. I do my best. I'm just sharing what I think works for me, my thought process, my philosophy on approaching a tattoo. As far as my artwork, I don't think it's anything in particularly special. I say I just copy photos, but it's really still how we put them together and how we're going to be able to tell a story that makes it interesting and unique. It's really therapeutic to watch. Awesome. Yeah, check in more often. We'll give more therapy here. If you haven't yet, my DMs are always open. Feel free to send me any questions. Do my best to get back to everybody as quick as possible, especially for tattooers. If you're a client inquiring about a particular design, Ricardo's in the inboxes, and he'll be there all day answering any questions that you have with the process. It's my 3-year tattooing. Any advice on branching out to do larger work? Well, if you're not getting those through your appointments, you have to create those tattoos yourself. Because your inquiries are going to come based on what your portfolio looks like. So if your portfolio, whether it's Instagram or in a physical book, is all small scale work, well, then that's what you're going to get requests for. People don't see what you're capable of. They don't even think that you like doing them or that you're capable of it. So on your days off, on days that you're not that busy, or by upselling clients, you're going to be able to do bigger projects. And the more that you do, the more that you share, the less you share of other things that you don't want to do, you're going to get more requests that are in line with that. I used to do a lot of cover-ups before, about 4 to 5 a week. And that's because that's all the requests that I was getting, and I was good at it. So more and more people would ask for cover-ups. So to transition out of that, you can still do the cover-ups, but just don't post them. And you'll find that you're posting less, but essentially you're going to start sharing more of what you want to do, less of what you don't, and eventually it just becomes down to what people see is what they're going to ask for. So if you want to do more color pieces, stop sharing black and gray and start sharing more color work. If you don't get color work, you have to find out how to get those clients in the chair. This is like art therapy. Would you say that using your Instagram as your portfolio is good? It is good. It is your most recent stuff. It's not necessarily your favorited thing. So if you're going to put out a book, for example, the downside is that it's just local, whoever's coming in to see your physical book. But you can curate it by showing particular pieces in the front of the book. Maybe you can print them out different sizes, but it's a limited reach. Your Instagram is definitely an online portfolio, and you can resurface a lot of your older pieces. Keep showing more of the work that you like, that you've done in the past, or you can create a highlight section or post it to your stories. It's a more interactive portfolio. Instagram is just a tool on showcasing your work. Alright, so we're pretty much done with the lower part of the face. We're going up back into the helmet. We're going to start getting all this little detailed stuff in. I like this particular statue because it's a mixture of stone and some sort of bronze, some sort of metallic texture up top. It's cool. We get to showcase different techniques and different textures in this particular piece. Is it normal to be afraid of doing your first tattoo? It's normal, but you don't have to be afraid. There is a nervousness of doing something new, regardless of what it is. Sometimes it's your 50th tattoo, your 500th tattoo, but you could still be nervous depending on what you're doing, who you're doing it on. How did you find your pricing for tattoos, hourly or day rates? It just depends on where you're at and what type of work that you're doing. So if you're doing a variety of sizes, different detail levels, then you may just end up flat pricing them. If you're doing bigger projects and you're doing longer days, you may just go with a day rate. If you feel like you can't work on a project for too long and you'd rather do shorter sessions, then you can go hourly. So it really just depends on your workflow and how you work. Once you understand your workflow, then you're able to make adjustments to how long you can have clients sit in the chair, how frequently they can come back. I typically like to work in full day sessions. It just allows me to focus on one client, get a lot done. I'm working on all bigger projects nowadays, so one client a day. We're just booking by the day. I missed class. Can't wait for it to start again. Yeah, Alan, we're gonna get some classes set up for later this year. I'm just gonna get that move ready. But we have the seminars that are coming up. Those are all just different design seminars. So if you're interested in joining in for those, let me know. Otherwise, if you're just waiting for the mentorship days, sit tight. Got some interesting formats coming up pretty soon. Just gotta dial in on all the technical aspects and get that ready. Does the stencil work feel the same as actually tattooing? No, very different. It's just all line work. It's just very gesture. It's loosely based. I enjoy working on one person a day as well. I'm going to keep tuning in. Awesome. Ready to dial in. Have a good day, bro. You as well. What's up, Mr. Michael? Stencil time. I'm the Bob Ross of stenciling. Happy little lines. There's no mistakes in stenciling. What's up, man? Taking off already?
Yeah, I finished.
Okay, cool, man.
We got here at like 6:30 a.m.
See you, man. Andy, what pencil type are you using to trace? Gel pen, what percentage, what width? So this is a technical pen. Streamline about 16%. Everything else is at 0. And we're doing this around 7 to 8%. What's up? When's the next marathon? I've been getting my runs in. Nice, man. I was supposed to do the 33 miles on May 23rd. However, I got injured. So I'm doing some physical therapy. I got back into running now, increasing my mileage every day. I'd say probably working with Brian on figuring out a date. We're probably going to do it before I leave New York. So likely the 2nd or 3rd week of June. We're going to be running the 33 miles. Brian's first ultra marathon, my second one. It's going to be a lot of fun. Stenciling's very swooshy, like bippity boppity boo. Yeah, that's about right. Why use red during the stencil process? Well, in case you stencil on the same layer, I can put this in Photoshop and be able to pull the red layer out separately. So we always want to make sure we're on a separate layer. Let's do this. Alright, so we always want to make sure we're on a separate layer, but sometimes we don't do it on a separate layer. We forget, we make a mistake when we're doing the stencil on the actual image. So then you may have to restart it. I've done this enough to have that happen sometimes, so we're going to do this as a safety measure and then throw this into Photoshop and just select the red. And that's going to allow us to make a new layer based off of that selection. All right, make sure we're back onto that stencil layer. Where do you find your references? On the internet, for the most part. There's so many variety, so many different subject matters that I do, so I don't have photo references that I've taken for each one.
My customer could try to find parking for 1 hour. Great location.
All right, we are just about done. Thank you everybody for tuning in. If you guys found value in this stencil time, show some support, buy the badge. Feel free to send me any DMs, any questions. And again, it's my passion, my purpose to be able to help more tattooers get better quicker. I think there's too many people with a lot of passion and too much mediocre work out there. There's plenty of clients for everybody. There's enough tattooers for enough clients out there. Let's see better tattoos get around. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to send me more DMs. I'll answer them as best as I can, as quickly as I can. Otherwise, again, we have 3 seminars coming up. First one is going to be June 1st. Second one is July 1st. And then the third one is going to be August 25th. If you guys have any questions with those, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, I'm just about done with the stencil. So this is our layer right here. And what I like doing sometimes is turning down the opacity and just making sure I got everything in. There's a couple of areas I missed. Get that going. Alright. Then with that stencil, we're going to duplicate it, desaturate, and turn down the brightness. So that's our stencil layer right there.
Oh wait, you said you were going to laser that snake, right?
Arlie Inc., thank you so much. I appreciate it. Any questions you have, again, my DMs are always open. Send me a message. I'm more than happy to help you out. I'll get better, that's a promise. Yeah, if you keep at it, there's no other way except to get better. Alright, and then what I'm going to do is duplicate the stencil twice. I'll show you guys why. And then I'm going to duplicate the image once. And what I want to do is merge these two down. So now I have an image with the stencil, an image without, then I have 2 stencils. The reason why I do this, I don't want to touch the original stencil, and I don't want to touch the original image. Okay. Oh, sorry, I did it the wrong way. Duplicate one of the stencils to the images. Okay, so now I have one image with the stencil, one without. I don't want to touch the original files. And I'm going to group these together. And what I want to do is get my reference ready for when I'm going to tattoo. Okay, so we'll take this group, rotate it. And let's see, move that over, make it a little bit tighter. Then I'll take this top image, move that over. And then now that'll be my reference of what I'm gonna look at when I'm doing the tattoo. And that's it. So we'll save this and we are good to go. Cool. So then I'll export the stencil, we'll print it out, size it up, and we'll take it from there. All right, so stay tuned to the IG stories. I'm gonna show you guys some progress photos of this. Any questions, send them over. Otherwise, you guys have a great day.